Right now, over 100 million people from the Midwest to the Northeast are caught in a powerful storm system, tearing homes off their foundations. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, a town in Vietnam just absorbed 206 millimeters of rain, completely drowning entire farming communities. And in Spain, temperatures are pushing toward 45 degrees Celsius, fueling aggressive wildfires that are forcing thousands of residents to flee. The map is lighting up all at once. Subscribe now to stay ahead of these rapidly shifting global weather events as they unfold. What we are seeing over the last 48 hours aren't just isolated regional flukes. These are synchronized events occurring across a planetary weather system that is struggling to maintain its typical balance. We can see exactly how these pressures compound by looking closely at the United States. A severe front is currently slicing from Michigan into Toronto, dragging along damaging wind gusts, large hail, and high flash flood risks. This satellite imagery shows a separate, slow-moving depression in the Gulf of Mexico strengthening into a tropical storm. Because of its sluggish pace, it threatens to dump a prolonged period of rain over the Florida Panhandle and Alabama. Layered directly on top of all that moisture is a stubborn high-pressure system sitting over the Twin Cities, Omaha, and South Florida, pushing heat indices as high as 110 degrees Fahrenheit. When you stack hazards like this, populations get trapped between severe storms and extreme heat at the same time. It creates a complex crisis that can quickly stretch emergency response resources to their limits. That same density of moisture is causing destruction across Asia. Flash floods have claimed lives and destroyed hundreds of hectares of farmland in Vietnam, while South Korea has seen roads and homes submerged by nearly 200 millimeters of rain. Yet just further west, the weather completely flips. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan are currently seeing temperatures running 10 degrees above average, with daily highs reaching 45 degrees. That intense heat is mirroring conditions in southern Europe. Italy remains under red weather alerts as Palermo pushes past 40 degrees, and that plume of hot air is now shifting directly into Spain. Further north, Central Europe and the Balkans are finally seeing a drop in temperatures. However, the scattered thunderstorms moving in are not enough to hydrate the soil or put out the wildfires burning in the region. A temporary drop in temperature does not immediately erase a deep drought or fire hazard. These systems have a long tail, leaving risks in place even after the heat briefly eases. We are currently seeing continents pull in opposing directions. South America is the prime example. Western and eastern Colombia are bracing for 75 to 200 millimeters of rain, but on the northern coast, moisture deficits are growing, drying out northern Colombia and northwestern Venezuela. Africa is experiencing the exact same split. The Sud wetlands in South Sudan are completely inundated, even as neighboring countries like Uganda and Kenya deal with abnormal dryness. This pattern extends into Central America, where saturated soils in Guatemala contrast with agricultural drought affecting crops in Honduras and Nicaragua. Atmospheric patterns are now shifting so sharply that people living directly across a national border from each other are fighting completely opposite climate disasters on the very same afternoon. In some regions, the extreme is simply the lack of change. Parts of the Middle East have been trapped in an unbroken stretch of 30-degree daytime heat that has held firm since the spring. In India, the uneven monsoon is complicating the season for farmers. While some states are on high alert for flash floods and landslides, others are waiting for the rain that hasn't arrived. Relentless, unchanging extremes, like a stalled monsoon or a locked-in heat dome, can be just as devastating over time. To find the engine driving these global shifts, we have to look at the Pacific. A rapidly strengthening El Niño pattern is now the dominant signal, reshaping the global outlook. This signal shifts the statistical odds towards above normal temperatures and below normal rainfall for Australia and New Zealand in the months ahead. El Niño acts as a planetary baseline, stacking the deck for more volatile weather patterns across the entire southern hemisphere. Looking back at the past 48 hours, a pattern has emerged. Continents splitting between floods and droughts, stacked hazards and record heat have moved from rare anomalies to a daily reality. If you are under a heat dome, hydrate and limit your time outdoors. If you are in a flood zone, maintain high vigilance. Saturated ground cannot absorb much more. We will continue to track these systems as they develop. Subscribe to stay informed, and we'll see you in the next update.